Vitalization, of course, against the Emperor Scorpion, but we should be able to make it through that fight in one piece. And there we go, we hit all of our skill caps. Definitely probably should have opened this up a little bit sooner and started deciding on where we wanted to throw around our experience. I mean, speaking of throwing, we could start training that skill, getting it up in time for the late game, because we definitely want to be whittling down enemies from afar as much as we can throughout the course of the run here. Alternatively, much like Safed suggested here, shields could be an option if we do want to switch up to that tower shield, which is very tempting, especially until we get a good amulet that could even replace our reflection one. Let's start building in for that contingency, shall we? We can set that up to 15 by going into the shield menu and hitting S. That's not too bad. I think I should put a cap somewhere on throwing for now here, bring it up to 12. And I'm eyeing fighting and evocations as more skills that we want to bring up at some point. There's not a huge rush on them, at the very least. And time to remove that exclusion. And once more into the breach we go. At least this time around, we're not going to be jumping in with a teleport. Man, those spark wasps hurt. Oh me, oh my. Unfortunately, we can't recite against you or anything like that, and we're going to be slow moving through the water if we try and retreat. This might be a bit of a mini reset time once more. Using up a lot of piety here, but I'm going to use Sanctuary once more, get ourselves the heck out of there. Blink bolt at me. There we go. Because you on your own, I think we can take, especially with Ice Blast, using something completely unavoidable would be nice. Barely hurt you. That's not what we want to see. Let's try once more here. Jeez Louise. Not getting great rolls with that. I was hoping for a 2-shot kill here, and we're already back in hot water. I guess what we probably should have done, let's do a bit of a post-mortem, even though we're not dead yet. But while we were running away and the Spark Wasp was below, that would have been the ideal time to throw out a quick imprison and make sure that the Spark Wasp themselves couldn't follow us. That not being an option, could of course go for one more Sanctuary play here. Whoops, hit auto fight. Good thing we have a cap on how much health we can do that with, otherwise that might have been the death of us. That would have been embarrassing. But we have a whole lot of piety. Let's quickly throw that out there. Followed up by an imprison, and just get the heck out. Okay. I'm trying to think if there are any other solutions we have to this problem. We no longer can recite, so that's important. I might donate half of our gold right now, and that will take some time to roll in the piety, but it's nice to have that at least going forward here. And of course we got confused right as I try to escape with our Spark Wasp pal. Let's go for an earlier set of blasts here. Again, not getting great rolls here. Do 3d14 and it only has 66 health and no resistances, but it is what it is. And well, let's take you up, deal with you real quick, head down, and go rolling in. Jeez Louise, and another one. It turns out this area is filled to the brim with the one enemy that we're truly struggling to deal with. Maybe a quick tail slap though, we'll throw out vitalization as well. Ooh, and while you're caught up in a web, let's take some free pot shots. Roll at you before you can blink bolt at us. Perfect. Yeah, pre-post-mortem indeed. Hopefully not indicative of the near future at the very least. So I'd like to do Roland Crouch, as well as the Trotter name in general. Of course, this character was a return to form in terms of lineages. We haven't had a good lineage run of characters, I mean thankfully in many ways, since our halfling attempts back in the day. Let's take out the Spectral Buddy first here, because that'll be quick. Ooh, and then a Moth of Wrath is absolutely no good. We do not want this Emperor Scorpion Berserk, to say the least. We could do an Imprisonment on the Moth of Wrath. Try and take care of this buddy while that is in effect. Turns out, Spider 4, pretty tough, pretty scary so far. Not loving it, but we're pretty close to the Rune Vault finally at the end here as well. Let's do it. It'll cost a bit more piety, but I do think it's slightly necessary here. Especially since this buddy alone could potentially kill us. I'll even spend more piety once more. Come on, I need this. Sir. And last but not least, let's finish this off with, again, some unavoidable damage. Are you resistant? You're not. This buddy goes berserk though. That might be a quick end to it all here. So once more, Ice Blast. Running out of charges on that far too quickly. Let's run away before everyone takes notice of exactly where we are. We can vitalize once more here. And continue to make our retreat. Shallow water is actually a half-decent place for us to be fighting, because as long as we're not moving, we don't take the effects that most characters do in terms of depreciated fighting ability, thanks to our large size, that is. So that's a half-decent solution for getting through these fights in one piece. Not too bad. Let's retreat up to the stairs for the final bit of healing, though. Play it safe, if we can. That's what we like to see. A Moth of Wrath on their own is much better than surrounded by the scarier of the Spider faction enemies. And hello. Normally something I'm very scared of. I guess it does mean we can't use any of our God-given abilities, but at least we're not playing a spellcaster today, so we're slightly better off. Against the Ghost Moth, perfect. Of course, we also pair our non-spellcaster reliance here with an innate See Invisible, which is definitely a huge help in those fights. Against just one of you, I don't think I want to go for the revitalization. Perfect. So close, yet so far away. This is where things get scary once more. Come to me, pal. Thank you, friend. Again, Moth of Wrath. I'm so glad you decided to join the party first. And let's try and get rid of that Spark Wasp ASAP. We've seen the damage that they do. Not too bad here. So far, we're getting lucky in terms of weeding out these spiders little by little. Normally, the biggest danger in this area is getting completely overwhelmed from all sides. I would like to continue that, so let's retreat out. And I just need 2 MP, perfect. To vitalize once more against the King Scorpion. Emperor Scorpion, sorry. No disrespect to your title. Perfect, not too shabby here. And onwards we go. Aha. So slightly scary end area here. Fortunately, these will all be affected by Zin's laws. Unfortunately, it's still kind of scary. So we'll start by reciting. Hopefully knock some of them off their game. And I'm going to quickly switch to a Ring of Positive Energy. Where can I take you all? This isn't great. We're not getting any of the truly spectacular effects of Zin's laws here, unfortunately. I think I will pop a teleport. Take a swing at some of the Coronid enemies, since they are likely to be hit quickly. There we go. We've shaken the Hornet's Nest. Hopefully those enemies will diffuse throughout the level a little bit, making it slightly easier to deal with them in the future. That's at least the hope when we end up dealing with enemies in this fashion. As you can see here, it's definitely working at least a bit so far. Still not getting the incredible recite effects, unfortunately. Just one of our enemies got dazzled there, but hey, we can't complain at the end of the day. It is what it is. Just run back, heal up to full, and hope that we can continue to just deal with small groups here. Hello, friends. It's mostly these death scarabs that are truly scary. That slow ability is a true pain in the rear. But once more, one-on-one shouldn't be too bad. In fact, this is a much better hallway to be dealing with these fights. Perfect. I believe I can roll through nets. Indeed, we can roll through spider webs without being affected, so that's sweet. Probably should have used recite here, but it's pretty competent in making it through a fight with just 2 of those bad boys. Indeed, we can. Though, in order to make good on our word here, immediately follow that up with actually using recite. And there we go. We have our first rune. Not too bad. It was a bit scary for sure. Expended a decent number of resources. At least we still have all of our blinking scrolls. And we'll have time to rebuild our piety as we go here. Otherwise, definitely happy with that. Easy clap indeed. And so, up next here, could probably head to Shoals. It's a bit of a give and take situation. Shoals is very scary in general, but at least with all the mer people and all of the satyrs, we can hope for some good effects off of axioms of law, to say the least. So we might as well at least poke our heads down, take a quick look. At least here we won't be constantly relying on vitalization in order to make it through each and every fight unscathed, so that's slightly better. Let's start reciting here. We can also use our rolls against all these polearm users to just pinball back and forth. So that's fun. It's very satisfying. And okie dokie. At least broken in here. Ooh, maybe shouldn't have gone straight for the charge, but it is what it is. You're too far, hey. Interesting. Playing it a little fast and loose so far, but we'll start reciting once more. And also retreat back up to this slightly more manageable corridor. Once the enemies are in the way of the Javelineer, we'll not have to deal with that crap quite as much. In fact, we can use a Wand of Acid here to try and deal some early damage. Oh, whoa, I didn't even see you there. Oh gosh. Should definitely be paying attention when we charge. Don't roll blind, folks. Let's see, we do have Sanctuary if things take a drastic turn. But I think we will actually potentially go for the Avatar here. Keeps us out of range of the Snapping Turtle, as well as getting rid of all those summons. And next, it's gonna have to be that Javelineer. That engulf status effect from the water elemental hurts for sure. In fact, might have let this go slightly too long here. I mean, Sanctuary pretty much gets us out of here. Ah, but we're engulfed, so we can't do that. Right, that's important. Also can't read scrolls, so I'm probably gonna have to just take a step away. And then, now we can decide. I think I will pop it. Immediately run back up to our entrance, Fortunately, once again saved from my own stupidity here. We don't have that as an option again. We've gone down to 4 pips of piety. But it's a good wake-up call, and it's nice to get a wake-up call sometimes because it sets you up to be slightly more on guard in the future. For example, we're on the stairs here. We can try and just bring a few of these buddies up, deal with them in a slightly more manageable form. I believe at the bottom here we have a few trident users. Can ideally take just a water elemental or two up with me. Perfect. We don't want to be dealing with that engulf status while in an otherwise already frightening encounter. And once more, let's split you buddies up. Hope that recite works out. Didn't do too much to help us, but still able to take them out. And the Javelinier is one of the scarier of the merfolk infantry at the very least. Now if we take another peek, a couple of regular merfolk. What are you? Just regular merfolk and the Cyclops. Well, can at least once again take our water elemental buddies up. Not too bad. Let's check where we're at for skills as well. We're attacking at 0.7. If we switch over to our kite or tower shield here, we just go up to 0.8 and we gain a nice amount of shielding. So I think I am happy to do that now, especially while we're still using the reflection amulet. That will simplify these fights at least a bit here, as we continue to stair dance our way through all of life's problems. Still, definitely want to take this as a bit of an indication that maybe Shoals is going to be a wee bit frightening. Windrake, always a pain in the butt. They're going to push us off the stairs, so fortunately we're able to take them up. Because otherwise, as soon as your escape options are taken away is when I definitely start to panic here. You can just deal with these buddies in small groups instead. Perfect. Hey, Star Polemic. I see you here. Thanks for the follow a few days back. I think we had just gone offline when you did, but I appreciate it a lot. Nice to see you around again here. Which species do we have left? So this is the last species in the simple column, at least in 0.27. Palentongas used to be in the intermediate column on the species list. So we still have 18 species to go after this. So quite a few, and a lot of my favorites are yet to come as well. So I'm very excited for the future here. We just have to believe in Roland hard enough here that we get it through in one piece. Hello, my harpy friends. That bat-like movement is not nearly as much of a pain when we have the roll ability here to just jump between them as they jump away. Why the name, out of curiosity, of the character here? It was one of the suggestions from one of our lovely chat members here, and I appreciated the double meaning of including the word roll in any Palentonga run. And Trotter is a last name that was in one of our previous Palentonga attempts, and so we're trying to continue the family line here. Get vengeance for one of the unfortunately deceased ancestors of good old Roland here. I definitely largely like to take name suggestions from chat as often as possible. If just because they're so much more creative than I am, it makes my job a lot easier. Much better names than I usually come up with on my own. Aha, so vitalization, still going to be seeing a little bit of work here. Kind of forget about sea snakes and the fact that there is a source of poison in shoals. But it's nice to have that on standby at the very least. I might also use this Ring of Flight. The positive energy ring isn't really doing anything for us, and this will alleviate a lot of the problems that we encounter here in shoals. We can even switch out our potions of flight with the more permanent ring effect. Will mean even more exploration as we go all the way out into the middle of the ocean here, but that's fine. Might as well be thorough, right? Not too bad. So Shoals 1, definitely, as we mentioned earlier, a little bit of a wake-up call. Gotta be hyper cautious, hyper aware of all the situations that we're getting ourselves into. Especially anytime there's a Javelineer involved and you have the Distortion Sphere. Don't banish me on first try? Perfect. Don't love to see that. We're going to try and take that buddy out from range if possible. And here we'll definitely want to take our Harpy friends upstairs. Perfect. Turns out that stairwell, not too much better than the first, so third time's a charm. Maybe somewhere slightly safer. Honestly, still relatively close. As we can see, even as soon as we start fighting a bit here, we draw the attention of all of the buddies that we just escaped from. There's our Distortion Sphere friend themselves. 41 health, so that's technically one-shottable with Ice Blast Wand. We'd have to roll the absolute nuts to do so. Let's maybe at least try it out. See how that does? It does create a lot of noise, which means we're probably calling a lot of attention to ourselves. But we're going to do anything in our power to try and take out that son of a gun before they get too close. In fact... Dang, Throw Flame not going to reach you, hey? Well, I think I will resort to an Acid Wand. We do manage to take them out, drop that Sphere of Distortion into the deepest of oceans. Perfect. And let's go rolling through the air. So satisfying. Get close to this Javelineer. We're also not using our Recite quite as much as we otherwise should. It is important to note that the Engulf effect will interrupt our It's not resuscitation, because that's a totally different thing. Recitation? I don't know how to conjugate that word in that manner. Huh. The things you learn you can't pronounce when you start streaming. Well, that's fine. We'll instead take this lovely buddy out. Resuscitation. Okay, so that is, I think it reminds me too much of resuscitation. That's, I think, where my brain is getting confused. Especially when I'm in the mind space of getting flooded by the water elemental. Resuscitation is right there at the edge of the brain. But that is very much probably the word that we should use. Recitation. Recitation. Interesting. The more you know. I always appreciate when somebody in chat can help me out, because there are many words that get me stumped, especially when live here. Too many things that I've read before, but not actually ever had to pronounce out loud. But, I'm actually gonna do something slightly risky here, because I want this Javelineer out of the deep water. Perfect, because we really want to pick up those javelins ourselves. It's always worth risking your life for a few scraps, right? Not at all dangerous and stupid of me, I'm sure. But hey, we got those javelins, so that's what I'll take out of that situation. So we start attracting all manner of hell down on our heads. Are you buddies affected? Oh, you are affected. Dang it. I definitely should have been reciting here. Already starting to look like we're in trouble once more. We have blink scrolls to just panic button ourselves out of here. We have one fear scroll that we could use. We're not too far away from stairs either. Guess if we run, yeah, most of these buddies are too fast, and so we'll still be taking damage from the sea snakes as well as the harpies. I guess the sea snake themselves is slowed. Only for that one turn. That's a shame. I was hoping we'd get some ground covered before they recovered themselves. But that is a-okay. Let's take a moment here before I rush myself into an early grave. One thing I wanted to quickly check was just how much gold we had, because we could start donating some more here. I was hoping that we'd find some nice shops here in Shoals. That's another benefit of having this area show up. But it is in no way guaranteed. Let's take a few more steps. Fortunately, just the sea snake able to keep up with us. We want to avoid getting barbed by the manticore. Perfect. Get out of there in one piece without having to use any of our hyper valuable consumables. I mean, technically we shouldn't have been in that situation in the first place, but I'll still take it. Gladly. And that barb effect is going to be a bit of a pain. Let's switch over to our boomerangs in our holstered slot here, because our throwing is starting to go up there, so we might start to be able to take advantage of our throwing weapons here. Not too bad. Vitalization, of course, as soon as we see a sea snake pop out of the woodwork here. And might as well go upstairs for a full heal. No reason to start fighting another batch of merfolk, especially since they do travel in herds for the most part. Wonder, is there an actual proper name for a group of merfolk? It's another piece of vocabulary that I always appreciate learning. It's how to correctly identify and label, but merfolk are interesting because usually we reserve that for animals, and merfolk aren't really animals. Perfect. This is where we start to use that throwing skill as the manticore barbs us and approaches. Perfect. Oops. Oh, sorry, game. You're much smarter than me. Let's not walk around with barbs in our skin. Instead, we can retreat back. I really want to check out the shop. Let's do so before things go to heck once more. Ooh, and a nice kite shield, as well as some glowing plate armor. Both of those very much interest me, and we can afford both. Let's start with the shield, shall we? +2 kite shield of Kestret. The slow effect, so that means that sometimes when we get hit we'll be slowed. I don't love. An extra pip of RF might be necessary, even if not now, then sometime in our future. So something to keep in mind at the very least. On the other side of things here, let's spend pretty much all of our gold on +2 plate armor fire resistance. So AC remains unchanged and we gain another pip of RF. Not fantastic for this branch in particular here, but definitely something that interests me for the future. Let's drop our reflection shield, switch it out for that for now. Quickly heal up before we continue exploring, and try our best not to die on this floor, shall we? Hello, my fawn friend. Right this way, please, sir. Please and thank you. Perfect. All in all, not too bad so far. Though I'm ready for more Javelineers to come popping out right around the corner here. Which are a bit of a mixed bag. I do love me. I'm gonna try and not vitalize against the sea snake. Okay, it worked out. Perfect. We're just running so low on piety that I'd like to increase that. But earlier I was, of course, just mentioning how scared we are of Javelineers, as always. Let's try and take out the manticore as they approach once more. It's funny that the barbs still affect you when you're just flying above the water here, but it is what it is. We heard a bunch of shouts as we charged in there, so we do know that more friends are coming. Hello, Impaler. You hit pretty hard. Let's start reciting our favorite axioms here. Oof. I don't like the harpies popping out. We also can see, this is why you don't trust auto explore. It took us all the way around the outside, but it means that we're nowhere near any of our safe stairs. And a retreat path would be a long journey. So I'm gonna just pop teleport right away. We're gonna spend a few turns stepping back from our problems, and then run away as soon as we end up somewhere even vaguely safe. Perfect. Oh me, oh my. But with that in mind, not trusting auto explore that is, we should potentially head back to a slightly more defensible position with stairwells to retreat to, and we'll just manually move for a wee bit here. Playing it nice and safe. Running away from one's problems. Definitely not something I'd suggest in real life, but in this game, pretty much necessary. Always important to just run away from your problems. Never deal with them. Or at least not until you're equipped to. Which I guess, if we put it that way, it's slightly better in terms of general life advice. You can always return to life's problems when you're better equipped to deal with them. Depends on the problem, I guess. Can't have a be-all, end-all solution. Nothing's quite that simple in real life, is it? But, managed to survive once more here. Ooh, and we find some more Ice Blast charges. And saving these enchant armor scrolls. Maybe I should just use them all up on our barding. At least as many as we can. Does this go up to +4? Yeah, +4 is the maximum enchantment. Generally, this barding will only ever be replaced with an artifact barding of some sort. I would usually insert Black Knight barding in here in order to manifest that luck in showing up for us, but since we're following one of the good gods, we couldn't actually use Black Knight's barding if it showed up, because it's considered an evil item, I believe. Something that I was completely forgetting about the last time we were running this character. So with that in mind, regardless, let's quickly give ourselves a few more pips of AC. And then, could put the other two on the plate armor, but I'm tempted to try and keep some of these enchant armors around for when we do eventually pick up something like Gold Dragon Scales, Crystal Plate. You know, one of the good ones. Onwards we go. Definitely a scary branch, this, to say the least. We haven't even come up against some of the scarier encounters that we could, so we've been lucky so far and still almost dying, left and right. Let's see. Don't mind charging down to this water nymph, because we're still very close to some stairwells. Water yard covers the staircase leading up. Really? Who knew? Well, I'm running upstairs then. See ya immediately. Managed to kill the water nymph just in time to clear our stairwell once more, and let us potentially find another way down that's slightly safer. Double Windrake is potentially not what we were looking for that reason right there. Fortunately, we at least can start rolling back in, getting ourselves slightly closer to the stairs, and then brace ourselves against this wall real quick. But geez Louise. Wee bit frightening. Reflection Amulet definitely paying dividends there, and the nice thing about this stairwell is it is just on the complete opposite level to Polyphemus with his herd of death yaks and the Kettle Plebis. So we can try and clear this area in relative safety. In fact, we should maybe wait for all the negative enchantments to wear off before we get moving here. Perfect. A Trident of Venom, hey friend. Let's pop Vitalization on then, and I'll actually take you upstairs just to be safe. Start reciting as we come back down. And much like you don't trust auto explore, sometimes you don't want to trust auto fighting too much either. As we tab there, we were just following around the confused merfolk instead of dealing with the buddies right in front of our face. Not great. But we're alive. I guess that's all that really matters at the end of the day. Can actually kind of use deep water to our advantage here. The death yaks won't be able to follow us. In fact, even if Polyphemus comes out of the woodwork here, should be relatively safe. Ooh, as well as the Cattle Plebis itself. Do see the Windrake has now shown up, so I'm actually going to take most of these pals on a bit of a journey here, heading back to the stairs, and now we've trapped both ways in scary fashion. At the very least, we can try and bring just some of you up here. I'm going to step again into the deep water here to protect ourselves from the death yaks. they aren't quite able to follow. That gives us a slightly simpler setup here. Able to fight them one-on-one with an easy retreat path. Those are definitely two combos that I really would like every fight to follow. So we continue onwards. Let's see if we can't take on the Cattle Plebis in a bit more of a controlled situation here. Perfect, not too bad. Being up over 30 AC is definitely nice, and we might be nearing 40 when we go into defensive curl. We didn't actually get to check there because we haven't had that activate in a wee bit here. Oh, I'm gonna get out of sight of this alarm trap down here. Definitely don't want to be triggering that and get the mark status anytime soon. Can instead just run across the deep water. Only the merfolk and the manticore will be able to follow us. Thanks to our flying, we're not slowed in the water and taking a whole bunch of unnecessary damage while we retreat as well, so that's awesome. Start reciting, then dive into the thick of it here. Actually, we'll instead bring these two up, play it a little bit safer, which I'm glad we did because we took some bad rolls right away. Can't trust what I say. Do as I do, not as I say. Recite once more here. Fortunately, my bold attitude and my rush into combat hasn't managed to get us killed thus far. Hello, Javelineer friend. If I could get you onto dry land, we definitely want to pick those up after we kill you. Ooh, and there's silver javelins too. That's going to be very useful for when we get to Zot in the late game. Want as many silver javelins as possible. Let's see, Polyphemus, you're all on your own now, right? So sorry all your friends left you, pal. Let's take you around the plants here so that that Javelineer doesn't start tossing spears our way. And we'll actually retreat back to the stairs here and deal with you two in a bit more of a simplified fashion. Perfect. Once you separate Polyphemus from his flock, it's not quite as bad to deal with him. He's essentially just a slightly buffed Cyclops. And that is no problem at this stage in our run. Now, what about all of you? Oh, and there we go. We see with defensive curl, we're just shy of that 40 AC that I was talking about earlier. Hopefully we can hit that soon. +2 Spear of Flaming and Quivering Javelins. I'm going to take a risk here and move up to this escape hatch, because that way we can at least take two of these buddies up with us. It's always kind of hard to trick the AI into letting polearm users follow you upstairs, but sometimes when the positions are just right like that, we can get a little bit sneaky, a little bit clever, and try and separate these enemies into slightly more manageable batches. Speaking of which, I'm hoping with some good recitation luck, we're able to take out these two, and indeed does seem to be so. Javelineer's always getting my heart thumping a little bit. And that will hopefully be the worst of shoals here. +1 scale male of modesty. We're seeing in +6? I don't think so, game. Not today. There's nothing modest about this character. Continue onwards here. Okie dokie, Shoals 3 explored. Only, once again, a few close encounters with death. I'll call that a good day. Let's hope we don't get too rough of a final layout here. Do get barbed on the stairs, so if we need to retreat, we'll have to do so slightly earlier than otherwise desired or expected. Impaler coming in with a +2 Demon Trident of Draining. But I'll take the barb damage to just bring a few of our harpy friends upstairs with us. Let's maybe explore some more of these downstairs. Maybe there's a slightly safer egress point. Like this one here. That's much better. My doggo comes running through the hallway, pooping at something. Oh, poor doggo. So upsetting. Whatever is upsetting her. And let's see, where do we want to put our attributes today? Could keep pumping strength a little bit. We're now at the point where we can wear the heavier armor in the game without having to worry about strength limitations. So we could start pumping into dexterity, trying to bring up our evasion in the back end here. In fact, I think I will throw at least 1 point in there now. Who knows where the next, I think 3 more attribute points will go. Only time will tell. So continue training rather, throwing and shields. Just debating if we want to start dodging at some point. We definitely do sometime, maybe not right away here, as well as getting fighting back on the menu here, trying to get up over the 200 health mark at some point in the near future. And Azul. This is an interesting fight for us. Fortunately, we have vitalization, which gives us immunity to poison. Unfortunately, it doesn't count as resistance to poison, so things like Venom Bolt and Poison Arrow are still going to be hitting for their full amount, rather than the decreased that we'd normally see. So, I might just run out of that fight for now. So we saw we got hit pretty hard there right away. And we at least would have resisted, again, that huge chunk of poison damage, but not the full, whatever it was, 3d21 from the bolt itself. So that's going to be an interesting fight that I don't look forward to. We head down our final stair, we see we're right next to Azul. Huh. Don't love that, especially as a bunch of dream sheep come into view here. I might want to leave before we get put to sleep, but I'll try a few throws of our boomerang. As long as we don't go to sleep for too many turns, we should be okay. And we don't have to leave the stairs, so I feel slightly safer. And there they are once more. So let's reevaluate this fight. We're just fighting you alone, Azul. We're probably not going to be put to sleep. The 3d21 and 3d18 are both going to hit real hard. But we could try and silence you with our File of Floods, close the gap, and be done with it. So maybe start with Vitalization. That File of Floods, like we were just mentioning, we'll charge in. Taking a few turns. We also have Scrolls of Silence if things get desperate. I should have been reciting this whole time as well. Mistakes were made. And we're getting real close to making it through in one piece, which is bad, because now we're dealing with a bit of a sunk cost fallacy where I almost wouldn't have wanted to retreat out of that fight rather, even if things got a bit dire. But we are all good. We can instead take our merfolk upstairs, heal up completely, reset that recite cooldown, and let's deal with these buddies, shall we? Start reciting. Split up the party here a little bit. Just bring these two upstairs. Perfect. Again, wait out the cooldown in relative safety. And there we go. Managing to just bring the Impaler up on their own is very much a more ideal situation than what we were dealing with down here. Especially when that Javelineer starts closing the gap. Hop up, heal up, and rinse repeat. Let's see, you're throwing silver javelins here, +2 Spear of Freezing. So we at least have cold resistance. Could probably take this. Let's just close that gap so we're not taking unnecessary javelin shots. And I'm definitely pushing things more than I should here, which is dangerous. But we'll finish you off with some undodgeable damage. That will allow me to, in relative safety, head back to our stairway. Heal up before we face off the rest of the hordes down there. And slowly but surely, we are clearing our way through Shoals 4. Something that looked to be an almost impossible task based on the first couple of encounters we found down here.